Hello, my little filmer dudes. My name is Ivan Montero, and thank you for joining me on my journey to watch every movie ever created. And we so tried last year. I watched 53 2024 movies of last year, and let me tell you what, there's a lot of movies I wanted to see but didn't. And it's only because I've saw other people say it was awful, and I could already tell they would be bad. So I just didn't really want to submit myself to that. So I didn't. And then there was a lot of movies towards the end of the year. I got super busy towards the end of the year. Things changed in my life and I couldn't go to the movies as much. So things like Borderlands, Trap, Megalopolis, I just have not seen those. So this list is just whatever I've seen. My top 5 changed slightly from my middle of the year. So we'll see what that looks like at the very end. But right now we're gonna start with our dishonorable mentions, starting with Bob Marley, a completely biased film about someone who isn't that great of a person, but the messaging of the story is very hand-fisted down your throat and you're left uncomfortable at times, especially during the graphic designer scene. And as a graphic designer, I always side with my people. That scene was mean and unnecessary. It's called effective communication, something Bob Marley and his crew lacked, evidently, according to this film, made themselves the victims thereof. I didn't like that. I didn't appreciate it. Effective communications means asking for clarification. Always. Then we have Kneecap. I may not know what's going on with Ireland, but one thing I do understand from this film, anarchy. Pure anarchy. No wonder. No wonder. Also, this movie is illegible and hard to follow. Plus, the music wasn't really that appealing to me. Then we have Players from Netflix. Problematic and uncomfortable. Nobody needs to be preying on anyone, no matter the gender. You can read my Letterboxd review on Letterboxd. And then we have ISS, International Space Station, a completely lazy portrayal of space riddled with terrible acting, terrible directing, and chock full of nauseating cinematography. And lastly, Argyle, a movie so bad I actually watched twice to see if it was a bad theater experience or if it was a bad movie. Turns out it was just a bad movie. And so finally, we're at my number 10, and that is Civil War. I hate this movie for a multiplicity of reasons, but what a horrible waste of time and irresponsible use of a creative format. Civil War is one of the worst movies I have ever seen, and I'm honestly baffled by everyone's praise on this movie. It gets everything incorrect. Everything that is trying to portray is completely wrong. Listen, I don't mind that California and Texas teamed up, just tell me why. And the movie never gives you a why. It never tells you why anyone is fighting for any reason. It just tells you war is bad. That is the message for you. War is bad. Well, no shit, Alex. No shit. The thing is, Alex Garland isn't even from America, so to me, make a war movie about your own land, man, because you evidently did not do your research and you got everything incorrect. Why didn't the president or anybody use the tunnels in the White House? Why wasn't any other things employed? Just do a little bit of American history and then you can write a better movie. This is why Asia hates whenever we make movies about them, because we get it horribly wrong. And I would say the same is for Alex Garland. And yes, we have never been closer to a civil war today, but the problem is Alex Garland does not want to say, he did not want to offend, he did not commit to the story by staying unbiased. He's not saying anything at all. And the thing is, he is insanely biased. These journalists are completely biased. Their actions and everything they do, there's only one goal. And the portrayal of journalism and photography is completely false, by the way. That is not how things go down. And I'm just mad. I'm mad because everyone in the movie is just insanely irresponsible. I mean, who takes a minor to war? For what? The name of journalism and the name of photography? That's kind of stupid. How these two are not in jail for endangering the lives of not just themselves, of so many other people, but a minor, it blows my mind. I will never understand it. I will never understand it. And sure, the cinematography is wonderful. Like it really is beautiful to look at. And I would say that if you want to know how to do cinematography, I would look at the film, but I would watch it on mute because I would not want you to be influenced with the writing and the music, because I feel like a lot of that gets you. This movie is really good to reference if you're gonna learn cinematography. And if you wanna learn screenwriting, sure, learn what not to do, by all means. But this movie script is insanely awful. I need a why. I always need a why. Why are we mad at the president? Why are we after this individual? Why are these people after that individual? I don't know, and you need to tell me why. Otherwise, I'm uncomfortable and I don't want to be here for the ride. It was bad. It gets me angry every single time. It's horrid to the maximum degree, and it's 4.8. In fact, I'm lowering it to a 4.5. Next on the list is Sasquatch Sunset, because I cannot talk about Civil War anymore. So this one was recommended to me and I was intrigued when I saw the trailer, so I thought, I'm gonna go watch it. But, I shouldn't have watched it. This is one of the most boring experiences I've ever had in my life, and I committed the cardinal sin of movie theaters. I pulled out my cell phone, and I only did it because I was the only one in the movie theater, so I thought it was okay. Otherwise, I never do that. But oh my god, this one was rough to watch. And I can honestly see how a movie about a Sasquatch would be interesting on paper, but in execution, it just was not great. The movie leaves you utterly dissatisfied, and it kind of leaves you upset too. And I know the whole point was the things that happen to these Sasquatches because of humans, you know, doing their thing and whatnot. But we never bond with them. Again, language barrier, I guess, because they don't speak. I don't want to watch Sasquatch do sex stuff. That's not what I wanted to watch. Okay, the script is just so insanely boring. It's just, there's nothing here. There's absolutely no substance. Next up on the list is Lift. Myself and everybody on the planet has already talked a Lift to death. It is boring. It is cliche. It even made my top movies of the year so far, but look, it got bumped to 7. Got bumped down to 7. So that means there are more movies that were worse than Lift. But hey, Lift is number 7 because it's generic. And it has Billy Magnuson and Kevin Hart, who is not always bad, but he did not want to be in this movie. And then Red 1. Oh, goodness me gracious. This movie started out kind of promising, and then it continued past 3 minutes, and it was just not that great. And honestly, this is the most recent movie I've seen at the end of the year, but it is so rough. It is so boring. It actually made me sleep. And it wasn't because I was sleepy. It's because it was just so incredibly boring. And I missed all of the good parts too. Oh my goodness. Mike was just like, no, you actually did not miss anything at all. But man, oh man, there was a good concept here. There was a good concept, but everything from the CGI to the set design to the costume design to the directing to the acting all feels lazy, just like half-assed, half completed. That's the usual for a Dwayne Johnson movie, but this one felt especially lazy. Then it's Unfrosted, and honestly, I don't know why I did this to myself. I even liked the Seinfeld. I didn't like Seinfeld, the series. I only watched the first season. Maybe I should watch it some more, but I didn't really like Seinfeld. So why do you think I'd even like this one? The movie is cringy beyond belief, and it's full of action cartoon shenanigans and outdated humor that just really needs to just end. You've had your chance, Jerry Seinfeld, and after this, I won't be giving you any more chances, because you criticized comedy movies, and then you gave us this. This was bad, and nobody liked it, by the way. 2 little kids in this movie are absolutely unbearable, and Melissa McCarthy and Amy Schumer and Jim Gaffigan and Jerry Seinfeld are also equally unbearable. It's honestly not a great mix of actors, and it's not a great movie at all. Coming in at number 5 is Madam Web. And honestly, I have talked about Madam Web to death as well. And everyone's talked about Madam Web to death as well. And here's the thing. I don't think that this is the worst movie that's come out this year. And I don't think it's the worst edited movie that's come out this year. It's pretty bad. It is. But there are far worse. And this is how I actually scale it. Madam Web is watchable. Don't click off, just listen to me. Whether it's because you genuinely like it for some reason, you watch it, or it's because you're on something, or you're taking shots, or you're making a fun game because you're drunk or whatever. Either way, you're having a fun time making fun of a hilarious movie, but you have to make fun of it, otherwise you're just gonna be bored. So with that being said, it's still to a degree watchable. The next 4 on the list are completely unwatchable in my opinion, but that is why Madam Web at the end of the year lands with a 3 out of 10. Next is the Garfield movie. Whenever we heard that Chris Pratt was gonna be Garfield for the movie, I kind of knew that was it. I mean, I love Chris Pratt. He's a working man, but the thing is, sure, he did Mario, and he did a pretty fine Mario, but he's not Garfield. It was the wrong choice, and boy was I right. It was a total miscast. Plus, Pratt was absolutely doing this just for the money. You could totally hear he was phoning it in. And this movie is so bad, it's so boring that multiple groups of people in my theater when I went to see it walked out. I almost joined them, and I should have. It's just one of the most horrible movies I've ever seen, and the target audience was completely missed because they hired a 64-year-old man who was completely out of touch with modern society. I'm tired of my dad was shit movies. I don't need any more daddy issue movies. I don't. We're done with them. We've moved on. Chris Pratt is in a lot of daddy issue movies. So many of them. Chris, have you heard of BetterHelp? And then we have Joker Folie à Deux. Yes, this movie is 100% worse than Madam Web. It is hard to sit through this one. I do think of that stupid Tommy Lee Jones accent that he started doing in the third act, and that was, I mean, it was over well before then, but that was it. That was it that had me decide that this could have been the worst movie of the year. It almost was. It would have been, but I have two others that I regard as worse. It's super cringy. It's super embarrassing. It's not fun to watch. And the fact that Todd Phillips deliberately set out to make a horrible movie is wild, but like, he's never gonna get hired ever again. I hope he realized he's just ruined his career forever. Possibly even Joaquin Phoenix, and Joaquin Phoenix solidified his career too when he backed out of the other movie. Oh my goodness, definitely deserves to be the number one, but it isn't. It isn't, for me, at least. Coming in number 2 is the same number 2 from, just general number 2, but also my number 2 from the middle of the year is the Book of Clarence. Honestly, I'm referring to my worst movies of 2024 so far, the middle of the year for this one, or my Letterboxd full review. I don't want to talk about this movie. I've already talked about it. I've repeated myself, but I will say this one thing, because this one thing I will say many, many times until it finally sticks with the world. Don't mess with already established religion or lore or backstory. Rick Riordan did not mess with already established Greek mythology. He just added onto it for modern day times, and other projects do the same thing. So why are we so ready to jump onto not just Christianity, but other religions as well in the world to change it for the sake of a funny? It's not funny. It's just disrespectful and irreverent, and I don't like it. I didn't enjoy the movie, even from writing perspective. It was dumb. It was really dumb. I was really surprised that Lakeith Stanfield was in this film. I like him, but he makes me a little iffy because I do remember, so now I can't unsee him in this. I don't like it. It is disrespectful to a whole ass community, and whether you agree with them or not, it doesn't matter. It's just plain wrong, and you just don't do that. And finally, my number 1, which remained my number 1 since the beginning of the freaking year, since February 23. I have here the watch date. My worst movie of the year has been Drive Away Dolls, and wow, oh wowie wow. Let's talk about this movie for a second. This movie is a classic what not to do with LGBT individuals. This movie is about 2 girls who need a job, they need some money, so they get a gig, they get hired to deliver a product, to drive across country and deliver this product to a dude who thinks that they are gangsters. So they got the wrong job because this guy is just an idiot at his job. Funny concept so far. However, these girls are insanely unbearable. I'm really tired of the only thing that LGBT characters have in media is the fact that they're just horny and the fact that they just want to have sex. That's not true. I mean, everyone's horny. Everyone wants sex. It's a thing, but that's not the only thing that defines LGBT people, and I just find it insanely offensive. And I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all because we're backtracking yet again. Literally, all the conversations is just sex. And I didn't like it. I didn't want to sign up for that. It's not my type of humor. I find it insanely juvenile, and I don't like it. Plus, the briefcase, this is spoilers because I don't care, but the briefcase had dildos in it, and these are dildos of famous people. So that like that Miley Cyrus's character, who only appears in like an LSD dream, is like a hooker, and she like molds famous celebrities' penises while they're under LSD, and I'm gonna get demonetized for this now. And now famous celebrities are like, oh, we want that briefcase back because we want our dicks back. And I can see how everything on paper should have been funny, but it's not in execution. It's really rough to sit through. The editing is some of the worst editing I've ever seen in my entire life. And this was made by a Coen brother and wife. Coen brother and wife. So here's my question to Coen brother and wife. Which one of you is the gay one and what's out of your heterosexual relationship? Are you a lesbian? Or, well, Ethan, are you a lesbian? Which one of you was the lesbian? Honestly, this is by far the worst movie I've ever seen. And I was only giving it like a 1.5 to give it like some breathing room, but you know, this is the end of the year. And you wanna know what? By the end of the year, it's only getting a 0.5, 0.5, because at least, No, yeah, it's getting a 0. I give this one, and I'm sorry to say for those who liked it, I am giving this one a 0 out of 10. It was incredible and awful. Well, that was my list of my worst movies of 2024. And I think this is actually a pretty solid list if you ask me. Let me know what your list looks like in the comments below. Be on the lookout for my other end of the year videos that I'm going to be making, and my sushi meeting links are also in the description. And I will see you next time. You've just been Montified.